ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. We are reading from Canto-4, Chapter 6, Brahmā Satisfies Lord Śiva. We are in the final section of this chapter, where all the demigods, along with Lord Brahmā, they have arrived at the residence of Lord Śiva. Lord Śiva immediately offers his obeisances to Lord Brahmā. No, Lord Brahmā, the smile on the face, but still afraid of the reaction of Lord Śiva, is offering prayers to Lord Śiva. So now we come to text 45. Tvam karmanam mangalamangalanam kratum swalokam tanushe swaparam va amangalanam chatamishra ulbanam viparyayakkena tadeva kasyachet. Translation.
O most auspicious Lord, you have ordained the heavenly planets, the spiritual Vaikuntha planets, and the impersonal Brahman sphere as the respective destinations of the performers of auspicious activities. Similarly, for others who are miscreants, you have destined different kinds of hells which are horrible and ghastly. Yet sometimes it is found that their destinations are just the opposite. It is very difficult to ascertain the cause of this. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is called the Supreme Will. It is by the Supreme Will that everything is happening. It is said, therefore, that not a blade of grass moves without the Supreme Will. Generally, it is prescribed that performers of pious activities are promoted to the higher planetary systems, devotees are promoted to the Vaikunthas or spiritual worlds, and impersonal speculators are promoted to the impersonal Brahman effulgence. But it sometimes so happens that a miscreant like Ajamila is immediately promoted to the Vaikuntha Loka simply by chanting the name of Narayan. Although when Ajamila uttered this vibration, he intended to call his son Narayan. Lord Narayana took it seriously and immediately gave him promotion to Vaikuntha Loka despite his background, which was full of sinful activities. Similarly, King Dakṣa was always engaged in the pious activities of performing sacrifices. Yet, simply because of creating a little misunderstanding with Lord Shiva, he was severely taken to task. The conclusion is, therefore, that the Supreme Will is the ultimate judgment. No one can argue upon this. A pure devotee, therefore, submits in all circumstances to the supreme will of the Lord, accepting it as all auspicious. Tatte anukampam susakshima mananu bhujanta
Tate
evatma kritam
nukampa
vibhakam.
samikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvagvapurvir vidadan namaste jivetayo muktipade sadaya bhag.
Thank you, Prabhuji. The purport of this verse is that when a devotee is in calamitous condition, he takes it as a benediction of the Supreme Lord and takes responsibility himself for his past misdeeds. In such condition, he offers still more devotional service and is not disturbed. One who lives in such a disposition of mind engaged in devotional service is the most eligible candidate for promotion to the spiritual world. In other words, such a devotee's claim for promotion to the spiritual world is assured in all circumstances. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So Lord Brahma further prays that, O most auspicious one, Tvam Karamanam Mangala Mangalana, you have ordained the heavenly planets and the spiritual Vaikuntha planets and the impersonal Brahmans for certain activists, and others you have ordained the ghastly horrible hells. Yet, sometimes it is found that their destinations are just the opposite. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes Ajamil and Dakṣa, otherwise different personalities, but they got completely different result. It is very difficult to ascertain the cause of this, that is Sarva Karana Karanam. So slightly now, Lord Brahma is praying to Lord Shiva, but also indicating higher cause beyond Lord Shiva. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called as Supreme Will. And there is otherwise a natural process which is set up. Who will go where? Urdhvam gacchanti sattvastha, madhye tishtanti rajasa, jaganya gunavrittistha, adho gacchanti tamasa. That the activities in the mode of goodness will promote one to the superhuman planes of the demigods. Activities in the mode of rajoguna will keep person in the Martyaloka. Activities in tamogun will degrade oneself, will degrade the jiva in the next life to the ghastly existence. But sometimes there are many exceptions, right? Sorry, few exceptions. And here Srila Prabhupada points to one is Ajamil, who was otherwise a very horrible person. We will read about Ajamil in the 6th canto. And simply by one uttering the holy names of the Lord, that also not directly calling the Lord, he is addressing his own son Narayana, he got the heavenly planets. And otherwise, Dakṣa, who was otherwise always in the mode of goodness, but with a slight misunderstanding, and there was horrible result. So here Lord Brahma says, so the conclusion is that there is a supreme will beyond even the great personalities like Lord Shiva. And one should accept whatever is happening in one's life. And Srila Prabhupada quotes Tate Anukampa. This is also prayer by Lord Brahma only in the 10th canto. He prays there that the purport of this prayer is that when a devotee is in the calamity, he will accept the responsibility of the calamity. He will not think, oh, I have become devotee, what Krishna has done for me, I am doing so much for Krishna, itna saal japa karke kya fayda hai Prabhu ji, kuch fayda nahi Prabhu ji. That is not the attitude of a devotee. Because devotee, he understands that before my whatever practice of 2, 3, 4, 20, 40, 50 years of devotional service in this life, all the past lives, the past life of even this life, before we becoming devotee, the past life, and the past lifetimes, there is a huge backlog of karma which is to be eradicated. And therefore, some token karma is going to come, although I may have become devotee. And therefore, he is very, very conscious of his past misdeeds, which he may or may not remember. Tatenu kampa su samayikshamano. And therefore, he will see with the equal vision happiness and distress. And when the calamity comes, he think, Bhunjana evatmakritam vipakam. This is done by me. These are the results of my own past activities. Atmakritam vipakam. Thinking like this, he will be very grateful. Rid, vak, vapur bhir, vidadan namaste. He is grateful at heart, rid. He is grateful in speech, vak, and he is grateful in the countenance, appearance. Vapur bhir, vidadan namaste, jivetayo, mukti pade sadayabak. For such a personality, liberation or going back home, back to Godhead, becomes, the spiritual world becomes a rightful claim. That his entrance, by person with such attitude, entrance is guaranteed in Vaikuntha. So, very beautiful prayer by Lord Brahma, indicating there is somebody existing beyond there is something supreme will which is beyond Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and also how one accepts the calamity in one's life. Text 46. न वै सतां त्वच्चरणार्पितानां भूतेषु सर्वेषु अविपश्यतां तव भूतानि चात्मानि अपृथक् दिग्दृक्षतां प्रायेण रोषो विभवेत् यथा पशुम्. Translation.
My dear Lord, devotees who have fully dedicated their lives unto your lotus feet certainly observe your presence as Paramatma in each and every being. And as such, they do not differentiate between one living being and another. Such persons treat all living entities equally. They never become overwhelmed by anger like animals who can see nothing without differentiation. Purport: when the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes angry or kills a demon, materially this may appear unfavorable, but spiritually it is a blissful blessing upon him. Therefore, pure devotees do not make any distinction between the Lord's anger and his blessings. They see both with reference to the Lord's behavior with others and themselves. A devotee does not find fault with the behavior of the Lord in any circumstances. Hare Krishna.
So now Lord Brahma's mood is shifting towards praying to the Supreme Lord. Now here he has already, in the text 45, he has already talked about the divine will beyond Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. And now look at the translation. My dear Lord, L is capital there. Okay. So previous translation you can see, my most auspicious Lord, L is small there. Okay. So here now the prayer is to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear Lord, those who are fully dedicated their lives unto you and your lotus feet certainly observe your presence as Paramatma in each and every living being. Right. So, Vidya Vinaya Sampanni Brahmane Gavi Hastini. So, this is how Vidya Vinaya Sampanna Brahmana, he will accept the Supreme Lord as Paramatma in each and every one. And they do not differentiate between one living being and another. Such persons treat all living entities equally. They never become overwhelmed by anger. Now here, Lord Brahma is in a way also pleading to Lord Shiva and also instructing Lord Shiva that look at your master, Lord Vishnu, whom you are a great devotee of, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambho, and therefore, please do not be angry. Of course, Lord Shiva is not at all angry, but still, we have seen that Lord Brahma is not certain what is the current mood of Lord Shiva, and therefore, he is offering this kind of a prayer. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes angry or kills the demon, materially this may appear very unfavorable, but spiritually, this is the greatest blessing that demon can receive. And therefore, there is no difference between Lord's anger and Lord's blessings. They are both in reference to the Lord's behavior with them and others. Like what it means is that as ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. There is a demon who is approaching with gada in the hand. Lord also will go with gada in the hand. There is a devotee approaching garland in the hand. Lord will also go shankha in the hand to touch on his head and give him all the benediction. He is Varadaraj. So, ye yatha mam prapadyante, as one surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. And therefore, devotee never finds faith in the behavior of the Supreme Lord in any circumstance. Mind the word any. Okay. Not that in the good circumstance we are very grateful to the Lord. And when the things go against our plan, against my will, against my wish, then we are very unhappy. No. You know that whenever things go with our plan, we think this is Krishna's mercy, I don't deserve it. And when things go against our plan, we remember the shloka that is quoted in the previous verse. Tatenu kampasushamikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam ridvak vapurbir vidhan namaste jivetayo muktipade sadaya bhak. That I deserved much worse reaction than this. It is mercy of the Supreme Lord that I got only a token reaction. And this is the mood of a devotee. Text 47, beautiful verse. We'll just recite this. Pritagdiya karma drusho durashaya
Prutagdiya karma drusho durashayah
parodayena anisham anishama
Parodayena anisham
paranduraktair vitudanti arundatasa
Parandurutter vitudanti arundasta
तान्मावधिदैवं वदान् भवन् विदः
Tanmavadahi daiva vadhan bhavedvidah.
Translation.
Persons who observe everything with differentiation, who are simply attached to fruitive activities, who are mean-minded, who are always pained to see the flourishing condition of others, and who thus give distress to them by uttering harsh and piercing words, have already been killed by providence. Thus, there is no need for them to be killed again by an exalted personality like you. Purport. Persons who are materialistic and always engaged in fruitive activities for material profit cannot endure seeing the flourishing life of others.
Except for a few persons.
Consciousness. The entire world is full of such envious persons who are perpetually full of anxieties because they are
Attached to material body and without realization. Their hearts are always filled with him.
and are without self-realization.
Thus, Lord Shiva as a self-realized Vaishnava has
There
advised.
is some voice along with you reading. Yeah, please continue.
Am I audible?
You're audible, yes.
Since their hearts are always filled with anxiety, it is understood that they have already been killed by providence. Thus, Lord Shiva, as a self-realized Vaishnava, was advised not to kill Dakṣa. A Vaishnava is described as Paradukha Dukhi because although he is never distressed in any condition of life, he is distressed to see others in a distressed condition. Vaishnavas therefore should not try to kill by any action of the body or mind, but should try to revive the Krishna consciousness of others out of compassion for them. The Krishna consciousness movement has been started to deliver the envious persons of the world from the clutches of Maya. And even though devotees are sometimes put into trouble, they push on the Krishna consciousness movement in all tolerance. Lord Chaitanya advises, Trinadapi sunicena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. One can chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking himself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige and ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Shikshashtaka 3. A Vaishnava should follow the examples of such Vaishnava as Haridas Thakur, Nityananda Prabhu, and also Lord Jesus Christ. There is no need to kill anyone who has already been killed, but it should be noted here with that a Vaishnava should not tolerate the blaspheming of Vishnu or Vaishnavas, although he should tolerate personal insults to himself.
Now Lord Brahma says, these kind of people, these five personalities, they are already dead, my dear Lord Shiva. There is no use of killing such people. Now Lord Brahma is talking about Dakṣa in a Parokshavad and saying that your followers killed Dakṣa, but revive Dakṣa. He's already dead. Why you are killing him? Who are these five? Persons who observe everything with differentiation, right? This is pratakdhiya. They are simply attached to fruitive activities. Karmadrusho. Third is they are mean-minded, right? Always pained to see the flourishing conditions of others, right? That somebody's anything happens good to somebody, these people are always in pain. Ki uska acha hua Prabhu ji, or something like that. And fifth one is give distress to others by uttering harsh and the piercing word, duruktai. So such personalities, they are already being killed by the providence. Thus, there is no need for them to be killed again by the exalted personality, especially like you. See, they are already dead people walking around. Why you are killing them? In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that generally the entire world is filled with such materialistic people who are always filled with envious attitude. Their hearts are filled with anxiety, and such people, they are already considered to be killed by Daiva. And therefore, a devotee should not waste their power in killing them further. In fact, the attitude of the devotee, Prabhupada says, is paradukha dukhi. He is in distress to see such envious people and tries to elevate them, even at sometimes at the cost of some personal troubles. And this is the mission of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada quotes Nārada verse that one should take all types of troubles to help others to advance in Krishna consciousness, but should not tolerate blasphemy against Lord Vishnu or a Vaishnava, but should tolerate the personal insults coming to himself. And the classical example of this is Lord Shiva himself. Right, Lord Shiva, what is the next chapter? The next chapter is the sacrifice performed by Dakṣa. Dakṣa is going to be revived and he is going to offer some prayers to Lord Shiva. But so this is ideal behavior of Lord Shiva. Prabhupada says a Vaishnava should follow the example of such Vaishnavas as Haridas Thakur, Nityananda Prabhu, and Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, Prabhupada used to consider Jesus also as a Vaishnava, that he showed the great example of, at the personal inconvenience, spreading the Dharma, spreading the mission of the Supreme Lord. And this is what is expected of a great personality, especially a Vaishnava. Text 48. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada was preaching in the Western countries. So he used to give this example, so that people are just aware that such example also exists. In preaching, there is a concept called as from known to unknown. So when Srila Prabhupada preached many places, the word Krishna was only unknown, right? So what to speak of Haridas Thakur, Nityananda Prabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Advaita Acharya. People have not heard Krishna also. Prabhupada was going all across the world. So Prabhupada used to give the known examples to them, like here, Lord Jesus Christ. And Prabhupada had great respect for Jesus Christ. And then people used to say, he taught. The example here is, he also tolerated for the sake of the mission. Similarly, a Vaishnava should tolerate for the sake of the mission, should not become envious with others. Instead of becoming envious, one should become compassionate and spread message of Krishna consciousness. So this is the idea. Text 48. Again, a beautiful verse. How the devotees deal with, the mishaps in their lives. Very beautiful verse this is. Yasmin, we'll recite this. Yasmin yada pushkaranabhamayaya. Durantaya sprishtadiya pritagdrishaha.
Durantaya sprishtadiya pritagdrishaha.
Kurvanti tatra hi anukampaya krupam.
Kurvanti tatra yanukampaya krupam.
न साधवोदैव बलात्कृते क्रमम्.
न साधवोदैव बलात्कृते kramam.
Translation.
My dear Lord, if In some places, materialists who are already bewildered by the insurmountable illusory energy of the Supreme Godhead sometimes commit offenses. A saintly person with compassion does not take this seriously, knowing that they commit offenses because they are overpowered by the illusory energy. He does not show his prowess to counteract them. Purport. It is said that the beauty of a tapasvi or saintly person is forgiveness. There are many instances in the spiritual history of the world in which many saintly persons, although unnecessarily harassed, did not take action, although they could have done so. Parikshit Maharaj, for example, was unnecessarily cursed by the Brahmin boy, and this was very much regretted by the boy's father. But Parikshit Maharaj accepted the curse and agreed to die within a week as the Brahmin boy desired. Parikshit Maharaj was the emperor and was full in power both spiritually and materially. But out of compassion and out of respect for Brahman community, he did not counteract the action of the Brahmana boy, but agreed to die within 7 days. Because it was desired by Krishna that Parikshit Maharaj agree to the punishment so that the instruction of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam would thus be revealed to the world, Parikshit Maharaj was advised not to take action. A Vaishnava is personally tolerant for the benefit of others. When he does not show his prowess, this does not mean that he is lacking in strength. Rather, it indicates that he is tolerant for the welfare of the entire human society.
So now Lord Brahma says, my dear Lord, look at the L there, L small. That is, now this is addressing to Lord Shiva. If in some places materialists who are bewildered by the insurmountable energy of the Supreme Lord sometimes commit offense, a saintly person does not take that very seriously. Knowing that they are committing offense because they are overwhelmed by the illusory energy, they does not show their prowess to counteract them. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the beauty of a tapasvi is forgiveness. This is very important. Tapasya, by otherwise, tapasya leads to a lot of hard-heartedness and krodha. Sometimes we also do some ekadashi, strict ekadashi, and the pitta in the body will aggravate. And because we are on the bodily platform, we will become very irritated or angry. Sometimes, people will say, Baba, aapka thoda khao aur ekadashi karo and don't be angry. So, if tapasya are not done properly, it can lead to anger. And that's why we will see that tapasvis at times are very prone to anger. But a tapasya by a devotee, the real tapasvi is, the beauty is that it is in forgiveness. Although sometimes a devotee may be harassed and harassed unnecessarily, he will not take this very seriously. And there are countless examples in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Parikshit Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, right? Nityananda Prabhu, Haridas Thakur, Prabhupada quotes previously. So all these personalities, although they were harassed unnecessarily, but they did not show their prowess. They simply accepted, and some Krishna's bigger plan was revealed. Here in this purport, Srila Prabhupada describes about Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj was unnecessarily cursed by the Brahmin boy, the proud, arrogant boy, Shringi. And when he pronounced that curse, he also realized it was a wrongly placed curse. He began to cry. His father came to his senses. And the father also regretted for such a curse, but still Parikshit accepted the curse. Srila Prabhupada writes here, Parikshit was powerful both materially, he was the emperor, he would have simply called the boy, Fasi ki saja, would have simply hanged the boy, because he was the king, Nyaya Devata himself for that country. He was a Chakravarti Samrat. And spiritually, Parikshit was also extremely qualified. Parikshit, with his potency, he had stopped Kali Yuga, and Kali Yuga had fallen at his feet and, looking for some protection. This is the potency of Parikshit. So materially, Parikshit was powerful. Spiritually, Parikshit was powerful. But when this instance happened in his life, he surrendered. And by his surrender to the Supreme Lord, what happened is the beautiful instruction of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was manifested. Thus, a Vaishnava, Prabhupada writes, a personally tolerant And it indicates that the tolerance of a Vaishnava is not indication of weakness, but it is indication of welfare of the entire human society. Again, the world is so constructed that we have to be in consultation with devotees whether we should be tolerant or we should be reactive. And when we react, what should be the proportion of our reaction? Right? Because things are quite messed up these days, and we have to just ensure that Vaishnava behavior is not taken as some weakness. And at the same time, we have to exhibit the Vaishnava behavior to be called ourselves as Vaishnava. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.